Throwing an object is one of the most matriculate biomechanical motions an athlete can master. All throws in sports require some variation of shoulder abduction, shoulder extension, elbow flexion, as well as some wrist flexion. For this presentation, we will be focusing on the throwing of an American football. Some common keys to a biomechanically sound football throw include 90-degree arm angle of throwing arm. Opposite arm should be tight and tucked towards the body in order to produce maximal torque, and follow through on the throw. Though these are all important, we are going to dive into a more detailed explanation as to how one can enhance his or her own throwing ability through biomechanics. Phase 1 of a throw is known as the preparation phase. In this phase, the opposite leg should be forward, feet shoulder width apart with your knees slightly bent, and the non-throwing shoulder is perpendicular to the target. According to the American Journal of Sports Medicine, ideal measurements should include shoulder abduction at 36 degrees, shoulder extension at 6 degrees, elbow flexion at 93 degrees. As you can see through this video demonstration, the angle at which my elbow is flexed at is just 9 degrees less than ideal, whereas everything else appears to be biomechanically sound. Muscles and joints play a critical role in the projecting of the football. Muscles involved include supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, anterior deltoid, posterior deltoid, pectoralis major, latissimus dorsi, and biceps brachii. The rotator cuff muscles are active throughout the entire throwing motion. They are known as stabilizers. However, the subscapularis and pecs are most active during phase 3. Phase 2 involves force-producing movements. In phase 2, the thrower will step towards the target, rotate hips so that your torso faces the target, and also rotate the throwing elbow towards the target. Again, according to the American Journal of Sports Medicine, ideal measurements include shoulder abduction at 75 degrees, shoulder extension at 102 degrees, and elbow flexion at 118 degrees. As you can see in the video, the angle at which my elbow is now just 2 less degrees than ideal, whereas the other angle measurements appear to be biomechanically sound. It is also important to note that in phase 2, the elbow produces valgus torque, caused by the upper torso movement and shoulder rotation. This helps to accelerate the ball. Too much torque can result in serious injuries. Phase 3 is known as the critical instant phase. In the critical instant phase, the throwing arm is bent at degrees perpendicular to the ground, elbow rotates to the target, and the throwing hand points to the target upon release. According to the American Journal of Sports Medicine, ideal measurements include shoulder abduction at 104 degrees, shoulder extension at 115 degrees, and elbow extension at 36 degrees. As you can see in the video, this was my most biomechanically sound phase. Each angle appears to match the American Journal of Sports Medicine's ideal measurements. Arguably the most important joint used in a throw is the glenohumeral joint, a ball and socket joint that connects the scapula and the humerus. The glenohumeral joint is the main player in phase 2 of the throw. If the glenohumeral joint is not properly utilized, it can have negative consequences leading up to phase 3 of the throw. Proper biomechanics are vital for a quarterback's success on the field. With sound biomechanics, the quarterback is able to produce maximum force through the movements of all required joints. The quarterback will also be able to create angular motion, which is the application of a force acting at some distance from an axis. Sound throwing mechanics will not only enhance performance on the field, but can more importantly protect the thrower from injury. 2 important things that are to be celebrated. I'm here for my appointment with Robin.
Right this way. Hello, Robin. This is John. Thank you. Enjoy your appointment. Hey, John. Here I have your files from your doctor for me to confirm that you have a rotator cuff tear. Now we're going to go through some assessments for that.
Alright.
Cool. Alrighty, John. So today I'm going to be your PT for the next couple of weeks. Looking at your files, it shows that you might have like a rotator cuff injury. I'm going to ask you a couple questions to see what is going on.
Okay.
So do you have pain over top of your shoulder?
Yes.
And it goes down the side of your arm?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Shoulder weakness?
A little bit.
Loss of motion?
Only when I go up.
Okay, at certain angles. Have any decrease of your range of motion?
Yes, I do.
Yes. And you have inability to lift it above your head and behind your back.
It's a little difficult to lift it up.
Okay, so it seems that you do have a rotator cuff tear, and that can be a couple of possibilities, and 15% of that is going to come from you just physically throwing your arm and irritating all those muscles, and 82% of that is going to come from you being hit from the other team or during scrimmages and stuff. But I'm actually going to give you this icy hot, and then I'm going to give you a physical assessment.
Okay.
And this is going to loosen up your muscles and just relax your arm before I come.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey John, how's your shoulder feeling?
It's feeling a lot looser with the icy hot.
Good, good. So that loosened up your muscles a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So stand up for me. We're going to go ahead and do a physical assessment. Stay right here and just face that wall. So I'm going to start with flexing your shoulder, and you give me a pain rate.
It's good so far.
Good so far?
Kind of hurts there.
Kind of hurts there. So we're going to stop it at 90, so you can rest your arm real quick. So now we're going to do resistance, same movement.
Okay.
I'm going to put it up to 90, if that's okay?
Mm-hmm.
So press down on my arm. Rate your pain from 1 to 10.
Probably about 7 or 8.
Alright, so now you're going to push above my arm. 1 to 10?
That's a 9.
9. So 7 to 9. And now we're going to do an abduction.
Alright.
So I'm going to pull your arm this way. Do the same thing.
Right there.
Right there, so 90 also. You can relax. So we're also going to do another resistance. So push down. Pain.
It's probably about 6 right now.
6. And push up.
That's an 8.
6 and 8. Alright, relax. So now we're just going to do a regular resistance against my hand.
Alright.
So pain 1 to 10.
It's good so far.
Keep going.
That's about an 8.
So right there.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I'm actually going to take a look at these test results, so you can go ahead and sit back down, and I will be back in a second.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, John, so as a result from your physical assessment test, I have confirmed that you have a rotator cuff tear, and it could be one of two things. It could be an acute tear, which is from a fall or heavy lifting, but what I'm thinking it is a chronic tear, which is most likely what it is because you're a football quarterback, and that just comes from the constant motion of you throwing the football. And that also affects anything that is around the shoulder, such as your bones, tendons, and ligaments. It irritates any muscles, bones, tendons, or ligaments that surround the rotator cuff, and that includes your clavicle, your bursa sac, your humerus, or the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, subscapularis, or your teres minor. So now that we have all of that and everything is confirmed, I'm going to be working with an athletic trainer for the next 6 to 8 weeks with you, and we will work together to make sure that you have a full recovery. She's going to be doing most of the strength training, and I'll be more of the rehabilitation.
Okay.
So now I'm actually going to give you a resistance band and a sheet of paper that has any stretches and flexibilities on it, and I will see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Make sure you ice also.
Yes, will do.
Hey Taylor, this is John. He's going to be our client for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So John,
Nice to meet you.
she's going to be working with you for your strengthening of your rotator cuff. So we'll let you take it away.
Okay, so Robin, I see here in his file that he has a torn rotator cuff, like you just said, and that you want me to help him with his therapy. So I think that if we do these certain exercises, like finger circles and then with resistance bands, we can improve his range of motion, help him get back to full potential and strength in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, so I think that the therapy that I have planned out is a great plan so far. Do you think so as well?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to give him these in detail today, so that while he's not in therapy, he can work on these. So I would like to work one-on-one with him to go over these exercises in more detail.
Okay, that works for me. Does that work for you?
Works for fine with me.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Hey, look, guys, we did it in one take. Hey, John. So I have your file, and after talking to your PT, Robin, we have discussed all the possible therapy options, and we think that we have came up with the best plan to get you back on the field at your full potential within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So I've seen that you had pain during flexion, abduction, and resistance during your assessment. So this plan will help you work through that pain and improvement, and I will show you these exercises later. So today we're going to go over all the different exercises we are going to complete during the first couple weeks of therapy. Once we have improved your strength and range of motion, we can increase the intensity of the exercises later on in therapy. So now let me show you these exercises and let me see you go over them before you take off.
Alright.
Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to show you is finger circles on a wall straight in front of you. And so you're going to do 5 rotations clockwise and then 5 rotations counterclockwise. So I want you to go ahead and do the exercise so I can make sure you're doing it right.
Like that?
Yeah, looks good. Okay, so the next exercise is elevated finger circles, which is the same concept as the other ones. You raise your hand above your head on the wall and you do 5 clockwise, 5 counterclockwise. So go ahead.
Is that good?
Looks good.
Alright.
Okay, so the next exercise I want you to do is with the resistance band. So you're going to hold your elbow at 90 degrees and you're going to externally rotate it halfway. Now I want you to do about 3 of those.
Like this?
Looks good.
Okay.
Okay, so for the next exercise, you're going to abduct your shoulder 45 degrees and then you're going to externally rotate your shoulder the same way as first time.
Got it.
So do 3 of those. Looks good. Okay, so for the next exercise, when you're doing it at home, have somebody hold the resistance band or put it on the door. What you're going to do is you're going to extend your shoulder backwards. Okay. Do it 3 times. Looks good.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, so for the next exercise, I'm going to hold it, but when you're at home, have somebody hold it behind you or tie it around your arm, either way, and you're going to flex your shoulder forward. Do it 3 times. Looks good. Okay, so last exercise I'm going to go over with you today is you're going to hold the resistance band with your left hand. With your right hand, you're going to go across the body just like this.
Okay.
So do that 3 times.
Like this?
Yeah, and then you come up this way. Okay. Looks good. If you have a seat, I'm going to go over some last minute details with you, and then you are free to go. Okay, so these exercises I went over with you will help stabilize your rotator cuff and help to improve your range of motion. I would like for you to perform these exercises 10 times for each part. So when doing like the arm circles, for example, I want you to do 10 clockwise and then 10 counterclockwise. Okay, so I will see you next week to start therapy full time. Please complete these exercises at least once a day until I see you next Thursday.
Alright.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much. I'll see you Thursday.
See you Thursday.